Your Go XLR is now officially dead. Earlier this month, the team behind the Go XLR, TC Helicon, laid off all of their remaining staff in their Canada office, which was responsible for the firmware, software, and driver support for the Go XLR mixers. In today's video, we'll talk about what that means for you, and if you have one of these, if you need to throw it out and get yourself a new mixer. So in a Discord post and a thread of tweets, it was announced that the TC Helicon, the team behind Go XLR, had laid off all their remaining staff, meaning that the Go XLR is basically now dead. Well, it will be supported by a small team of people making updates and changes through a web-based Unity client, but as you can imagine, updates and new features will probably be really slow. But what does this mean for you? You being the person who purchased the Go XLR, as it was the pinnacle in terms of audio for a content creator. Well, I am one of those people, and I feel a little hard done by, to be honest. This isn't chump change for amount of money to be throwing around for just good audio, and the majority of the development team from the Go XLR have already left and formed a new company called Beacon, proposing that they just didn't have the creative control they wanted, I guess. Now they will at Beacon, but still. So if you own a Go XLR and it works for you, great. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to change or update or anything or unplug, as your Go XLR will continue to work as it has been doing before. But if you're someone like me who's always looking for new integrations in their setup and looking for innovation, I think now is the time that you need to move on from the Go XLR. Now, me personally, as soon as this news was announced, I went out scouring on the market to see what was available in terms of mixing desks. Now, I eventually did switch, but not before having loads of USB issues, as I recently moved to an AMD unit. But I will be making a video of that on the future, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss that video. So today we're going to be looking at the replacement for my Go XLR, and that is the AVerMedia Livestreamer Nexus. Now, I'll be honest, I had never heard of or seen of AVerMedia's entry into the mixing desk category. So AVerMedia's marketing department, you guys have really got to step your game up here and market this product a little more, especially now at a crucial time when people are looking to jump ship from the Go XLR. So starting off with the looks and the sizes of each device, the Go XLR is a chunky boy at 28 centimeters wide. Comes with 4 motorized faders and reprogrammable to whichever audio channel you prefer. That's if you buy the full version of the Go XLR. You can purchase a mini version which only comes in at around 12 centimeters, but you do lose the whole sample pad and voice effect functionality. Let's compare this to the Livestreamer Nexus, which comes in at around 22 centimeters wide and is equipped with a 5-inch IPS touch panel screen, 6 non-reprogrammable tactile volume knobs, and 4 reprogrammable touchpads, which can control a variety of actions on the mixer. Now, as you can imagine, since this is a gaming product, both of these mixing desks have a variety of RGB, which can be tuned in their respectable softwares. The slight difference here is that the Go XLR can be lit in the preference of your color through all the touchpads and the faders, whereas in contrast, the AVerMedia has a more subtle approach to this, as the 5-inch IPS screen takes up most of the surface area of the device. So you have a slim light bar that wraps around the whole mixer, and of course the touchpads and the volume knobs can all be changed to the color of your liking. Taking a look at the rear of each of the desks, this is where the Go XLR just has a little ace up its sleeve compared to the other mixing desks on the market. On the rear of the Go XLR, you can find an XLR port for either dynamic or condenser microphones, as it is capable of providing 48 volt phantom power, a line in port, separate headphone and microphone ports, a line out socket, Kensington lock slot, USB, optical input for consoles, and a barrel input for power. Now, comparing this to the AVerMedia Nexus, on the rear, you have a headphone port, a line out port, XLR port, which again is capable of delivering phantom power. Inside the XLR port, there is an option for a 6.3mm input. So if you wanted to use a more traditional microphone or a headset mic, for example, you can with the supplied adapter. A line in port, optical in for consoles, USB for communication, and same as the Go XLR, a barrel input for power and a power switch. Now, I mentioned earlier the ace up the sleeve for the Go XLR. Well, it's because it has a separate XLR and a microphone in port, meaning that you can plug more than one microphone in if your setup changes and you have different microphones for different setups. Like me, for example, when I'm in my racing rig, my XLR microphone, which is my pod mic, doesn't really reach all the way over to the racing rig, so I have to use my trusty Astro A40s with the headset mic connected, and I have to plug them into the mixing desk at the same time with the pod mic plugged in. Now, of course, on the Go XLR, this was an absolute piece of cake because it has the XLR port and the microphone in port. Whereas on the AVerMedia, it's a bit finicky because I'm going to have to pull out the XLR mic and plug the 6.3mm jack in every time I kind of want to switch setups. So takes some getting used to. Time to dig deeper into the software of both of these mixing desks and to see what they have on offer. So as mentioned at the beginning of the review, Go XLR has 4 motorized faders, which can be reprogrammed to control 1 of 9 audio channels that the Go XLR has to offer, whereas the AVerMedia has only 6 non-reprogrammable channels. Both mixing desks have microphone effects and enhancements built into them. The Go XLR edges just a little further than the Nexus here, as its EQ and compressor are way more tunable, which can be a deterrent for some people who want a quick and easy setup. Also, it might be what some audiophiles out there are after, so depends what really you want. The EQ has a whopping 10 bands on the Go XLR that can be adjusted and changed, whereas the Nexus is just a little shy at 8 bands. But the compressor of the Nexus has just about the same adjustability as the Go XLRs. Effects like echo and reverb are on both desks, but again, the Go XLR has 20 plus effects already pre-made from the dev team, whereas the AVerMedia, you have to dig further from its plugin stores. But we'll get to that in just a bit. Now into the routing tables of each. And again, this is where the Go XLR edges just a little further than the AVerMedia Nexus. The AVerMedia Nexus doesn't have a fully customizable routing table, meaning that all of your audio channels that go into your mixer will be outputted into one creator mix as it's labeled. Now, it does have one slight trick that can be done though. Inside its software, it can create 2 different sub mixes. So let me give you an example here. In the creator mix, which is what comes into your headphones, you can adjust your gain volume to be loud so you can hear footsteps and so on. You can turn your music off or low, and you can have Discord low so you can focus just on your game. But the mixing desk can also create a second mix of all the same audio channels, but this time labeled under the audience mix. And this can be for what your stream wants to hear. So you can balance out the game audio and your Discord audio to a nice even level, and you can put your music quietly in the background to just set a vibe. I think this is a pretty neat feature and really a no-brainer to set up. In contrast, the Go XLR is a bit, well, actually, it's a lot more technical than this. It has a fully customizable routing table, meaning that it's a lot more to offer in variety, which can be done with it, but it can also be very overwhelming at first sight. Now, the same result can be achieved with the Go XLR as the AVerMedia Nexus, but it might take a little more configuring in OBS and your software compared to just enabling a dual mix option like AVerMedia's. All right, so you know how earlier I mentioned like a plugin store? Well, this is where the AVerMedia basically comes into its own league. The 5-inch IPS touch panel display has built-in functions and a whole plugin store that basically has features like an Elgato Stream Deck. So you can do things like control your Spotify, control the scenes or your OBS chat, and you can read your YouTube and Twitch chat, play funny sound clips using the Voice Mod plugin through the touchpads, and plenty more. So you ask the question, what mixer am I going to be using from now on? The simple answer is the Nexus. I've been using this Go XLR for 2 years and I purchased it during the pandemic, so of course I paid pandemic prices for it. It never did me wrong, it worked perfectly, but with the announcement they're basically going to be stopping development or anything further on the Go XLR, it's kind of just dead weight for me now. As soon as I found the AVerMedia Nexus and the whole integration with the 5-inch IPS touch panel, it kind of made me switch. And I am kind of sad about the Go XLR being replaced, but it was very unique when it first came around because it was basically in a field of its own. But due to lack of developments and updates from the Go XLR team and everyone basically moving to Beacon, the Go XLR kind of had a slow and painful death. So again, if you do have one of these mixing desks, if you have a Go XLR, it was going to work perfectly fine. Nothing's going to change from now. You don't need to update or do anything, but it won't be moving forward. So if you're looking for something new and different, now's probably a time to move on from the Go XLR and look on the market for what else you can get.